and today we're going to be cooking moussaka. There's a few different ways to make it, so we're just going to show you the easiest way we know how my mother-in-law makes it. So why don't we get started? We've got some potatoes that are boiled. The very first thing that you want to do when you're making moussaka is you boil the potatoes ahead of time, because then you're gonna cut them up after you peel them, and you want them to be almost cooked. They shouldn't be really soft, but they should be boiled enough so that they just need to cook a little bit with the meat in the oven. I used a couple of really huge ones, so I boiled them for about 40 minutes. What you're gonna do is cover them with water, put them on high. If you have a gas stove, high gas, or an electric stove, just keep them on high till the water boils, and keep making sure that the water doesn't all evaporate, because if you do that, you're going to burn the bottom of the potato and it's going to smell really bad in your house and you're going to have to throw everything away. So just make sure that you stay relatively close to whatever you're cooking, and don't go off somewhere and start reading books or Skyping with your friends while you're boiling things. You want to make sure that there's enough water in there at all times. So for about 45 minutes or so for big potatoes. If you're using smaller potatoes, boil them for maybe 20 minutes or so, and then let them cool. So the first thing we want to do, and Stefan's going to help over here, is peeling the skins off of the cooked potatoes. Stefan, can you do that one while I'm doing this one? Mm-hmm. So we've got the potatoes peeled now, and I want to show you something. Actually, what I said before about boiling really large potatoes for 45 minutes or so, I lied. This potato is, actually I overcooked them a little bit. They shouldn't be this mushy, but it's not a complete disaster. I mean, we'll still use them.
Yeah, it's okay because it gets mushy anyway when you're eating it.
True, you can't really eat potatoes that aren't mushy, but the idea is for it to be parboiled or partially cooked so that you can cut it into cubes afterwards, and then you're going to stir fry that with the onions in the oil. And this is a bit too soft, but it's not a disaster. So we've got the potato, we're cutting it up, and ideally it should be in cubes. It's not going to come out perfectly uniform here, but good thing I don't write books about cooking. That would be a disaster. All right. Oops. So, what do you think, Natalia?
Good.
Is that acceptable?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, we're going to take our onion. Where'd the onion go?
It was right there.
You just put the towel.
Oh, there's the onion. So, this
You should explain what you're doing.
I'm peeling an onion. Can you move your head?
Yeah, get out. Natalia!
Right. Natalia, please.
I need to stand here.
We're peeling an onion. Now we're going to chop the onion in half.
Sounds good. Not today. Not today, though.
Oops. All right. You must be careful not to cut your fingers. We don't want any blood in the food. So.
What's your vampire?
Vampires don't eat onions.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're ready to start cooking. So, we're going to take some oil. You don't need to measure it, just, enough to cover the pan, because you're going to be putting the potatoes.
I can't really see it. It's too dark, but it's okay.
Well, it's oil in a pan. You all know what a tigan, or whatever you want to call it, frying pan looks like. Now we
Turn your
want to,
stove on high.
yeah, we want to get it on high so it's nice and sizzling. And what we'll do is add the onion and the potato to that. And then this happens to be ground turkey. You can use any kind of ground meat you want, preferably beef or turkey. You could even use ground lamb if you want to. Just be sure and drain the grease off. We'll do that after you cook it and stuff. Okay, now we're ready. The oil is ready, so we're gonna cook the onion and put the potato in as well. That's the first part. Just throw it all in there. And we want to stir this nicely to mix it all together. Okay, my assistant Natalia is going to stir that nicely.
You have to stir all around. Don't knock any out of the pan.
Now we're going to add to this while she's stirring it nicely. Yeah, those potatoes are a little bit too cooked, but that's all right. They'll be good. This is salt. It looks kind of fancy because like a friend of ours brought it back from Nepal or Tibet or someplace like that. I think it's Nepalese salt. We're just using it for fun.
Basically,
because
it's
it looks
just
nice.
salt, so any salt will do.
A little bit of pepper.
Black pepper.
Yeah.
And
some garlic powder.
Yep.
Keep stirring, Kelly.
I know. Yeah,
And paprika. Red pepper. Nothing spicy goes in this, just your...
Unless you want something spicy.
Well, if you want it spicy, yeah, but your typical run-of-the-mill red pepper.
Get all around.
Maybe a little bit more spicy.
Careful, don't
Okay.
touch the pan.
So now, just keep stirring that around. Get it all mixed in well. Now, we're going to add the meat.
Your ground meat.
This is the ground meat. It is, what is this,
like
20 ounces, so 1.3 pounds. That's roughly a half kilogram or so. That's what you would want to use for meat.
And
Yep.
it looks like
You just dump the whole thing in.
You just dump the whole thing in. Now we don't want to fully cook this because it's going in the oven.
Ew. It looks like a bunch of worms.
Yeah, well that's because it's meat. It comes out of the thing that way. Natalia, if you can stir that up a little.
Make sure you get it like all around.
Oh,
You gotta mush it up.
I know.
Now, while we're getting the mixture ready, we're going to have Stefan, if you can grease the pan that it's going in, and we're going to preheat the oven.
So Steven,
With butter.
you can put the pan over there. Here, let me.
Did you wash your hands?
Let me go do it.
We're putting the oven on 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Miro, did you bother to do the conversion for our European friends?
Let me go check what it is. Can you just film?
All right.
Okay. They're really good.
Yeah. Just mix it all together. You should grease the pan with that because we're going to put the ground meat mixture in there.
Should I microwave it?
No. You don't need to microwave it.
It is.
Hey, Valentina? 350 degrees Fahrenheit. What's that in Celsius?
I got it, don't worry. 350? That is about 178 degrees Celsius.
All right, so 178, 180 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
Set your oven for that. And so we're getting the pan ready here. Stefan is greasing the pan. All right, now
You just rub it around.
we're going to take this off the heat. I'm going to show you a trick. This is what my mother-in-law does. We
Now
just
get the
take
other eggs.
a raw egg, and she puts it right in there. Remember now, we're taking this off the heat. We don't want scrambled eggs. It's just the egg helps
So-
bind the meat.
In other words, you turned off the stove and you moved the pan.
Correct.
See, off, and you moved the pan off the spot.
All right, now we're just going to add a little bit of tomato sauce to make it interesting. I've already turned off the stove because we don't want the meat to be entirely cooked, and the egg is still relatively raw. It's all just sort of mixing together. While we're on the subject, very important cooking tip: never add anything tomatoes, tomato sauce, tomato paste to a recipe with potatoes unless the potatoes are already completely cooked. There's some sort of chemical reaction. The potatoes will never cook thoroughly if you have something with tomatoes in there. Same thing with beans, by the way. When you're boiling beans, don't add the salt until after they're cooked, and never cook them with tomatoes. Add all of that stuff after they've already cooked. But with potatoes, you definitely don't mix anything with tomato unless it's already cooked. So there's that. Now, this is our moussaka mix. We're going to transfer it to the
Buttered pan.
casserole dish that Stefan has put a little bit of butter in so it won't stick. Notice the meat's still raw. It's going to cook in the oven initially for about a half an hour.
That gives me time to edit.
We've set the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. We established that that's about 178, 180 degrees
Celsius.
for our European
177.
student friends. Yeah, so about
To be
170.
exact.
That's a moderately hot oven.
Just
So-
don't burn yourselves.
Yeah, don't burn yourself. That's a good tip. So now we're going to put this in the oven. This is just the bottom part. That needs to cook. And while that's cooking, I'll show you how to make the topping. First of all, we want to take the yogurt. Now, when I'm cooking, I very rarely measure things. It's not like baking where your proportions have to be exact or it won't come out. I figure about 1.5 cups of yogurt. So what did we say that was? About 375 grams?
A cup.
Something
Yeah,
like that.
yep.
But eyeball it. So just got your yogurt for the top of the moussaka. Let's see.
Can you get the laptop, unplug it, and just put it right there, but being very careful. Very careful.
Which one?
The one that's on.
So this is our yogurt. I would use maybe 1/2 cup of milk. Okay.
Okay.
How many eggs? There we go.
Yeah.
3 eggs.
Okay.
Now since we're here, I'll teach you to separate an egg. You don't need to for this recipe, but knowing how to separate an egg is always a useful life skill. There we go, the oven's ready. Crack it in half. That's the white that's coming out. Now if you were separating the egg for some sort of baking recipe, you'd have a dish for the white to go in, and you're separating out the yolk. You're just putting it back and forth between the shelves and letting the white go out and the yolk stays separated. It depends on the recipe. Some call for yolks, some for whites, but this is how you separate an egg. You don't need any fancy equipment or anything like that. But for moussaka, you use the whole egg, so we just put that in there.
And do that for 2 more eggs. You don't have to do the shifting part. That's
No,
just
I'm just showing you for your own personal edification.
for
how
future
to
reference.
Separate an egg. So you can say you learned it here on our cooking show. All right, now, what else do we put in there? Oh, flour. A little bit of flour to give it some substance, some consistency, and some baking soda. help it to aerate
Allie.
some. Allie, can you put the eggs away, please? So here's the baking soda. I would use about half a teaspoon, maybe a little less. There again, you
Yeah,
just
not very
estimate
much.
it. Yeah, a little bit of baking soda goes a long way. And let's see, some flour. This is an 80 milliliter cup. I wouldn't use that much. I would use maybe 50 milliliters. Smaller.
You're talking about flour, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 59 milliliters.
Oh, aren't you the exact one? Okay,
Yep.
I guesstimated like a quarter cup, but that may not tell you much, so.
Yeah.
What else? So why don't we put some salt in too? Now we are going to beat this with a mixer.
So, if you don't have a mixer, what can you use?
You could use a whisk.
Isn't it like one of those stirring things?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You just as long as it's well
I
mixed.
think we have one.
We do. Yep.
Just to show what it
Can
is.
I do that?
Everybody knows what a whisk is, I
Okay.
think.
All right.
It's that thing that that Steve is licking on that picture on Facebook. All right, now.
Can I do it?
Yep. First Natalia will do it.
Don't knock the bowl down.
Okay, so we've been cooking the moussaka, the meat and potatoes part, for about 20 minutes actually. You've got to watch it to make sure it's not too burned. I mean, it shouldn't be burned at all, obviously, but when it gets bubbling and the top looks kind of dry, you want to take it out and we're going to put the topping on. Now, because I'm using ground turkey, which doesn't have a lot of fat in it, we don't have to drain this. But if you're using ground beef, say, that's like 80% lean, you're going to have little pools of grease possibly on it. You want to drain that or use paper towels to get rid of it, because unless you like grease, in which case you can leave it there. But now you're going to you're going to put the top on that we made with the yogurt and the milk and the eggs and the salt, flour, and baking soda. So we're just going to pour this on top over the whole thing. And then of course we'll put it back in the oven for a little while.
Yeah, and we just took it out after about 15-20 minutes.
Yeah, it was about
so.
20 minutes at 350 degrees.
And then she took it out and it was about ready. And now she's doing this.
So we've already covered that.
You don't need this fancy tool, you just need like a spoon or something, right?
Yeah, spoon, squeegee, whatever you want to use. Now, we're just going to put it back in the oven so that the top part can cook for probably about another 20 minutes or so. But again, you want to watch it, and when it starts to look dry and cracked on the top, you'll just put it under the broiler for a few minutes. But I'll show you what it looks like. All right, we're all finished. I put this under the broiler for exactly 3 minutes. Now, Miro, you can show how this looks. This is the finished result. This is your moussaka, nicely browned on top. And the egg and everything is all set, so you're ready to serve.
Okay.
That's everything.
All right.
Thank you for watching. And remember, don't be hungry, just cook.
This has been Miro and Marie Nochva. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our YouTube channel because we're stamping out world hunger, one hungry student at a time.